I'm hearing about what you're saying. I like how you said I was right about the whole post about the whole Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday Republicans, and I did the whole Democrats thing, right?
Yeah,
So
I got tired at that point.
no. Listen, no. I mean, it's true. Yeah, Republicans, do say some far out stupid shit things, and then the Democrats keep saying the same old thing they always say every time there's a problem. Oh, we need to reform this. We need to do this. The problem is they say we need to do something, but they never do it. They put on a good speech and a good suit and tie and sit in front of a microphone and make themselves look like they care and they do all this, but 2 days later they're sitting back in their office going, "I don't give a fuck." And it's on both sides of the table, not just their side. Republicans do the same thing too. That's why I became a centralist. I mean, even though I may still slightly bend to the right, but I've become majority of centralist because it's like, what's the point of taking a side if neither side does a damn thing anyway? I mean, since Columbine, we've been talking about gun control and doing this and doing this, and we've made a few applicational changes, but for the most part, we're still doing things business as usual. And as you said, people are just accepting the current status quo and not wanting to change it because over the years, people have just become comfortable with their system failing them and not standing up for them. Because the people in the House of Representatives and all that, they work for us. They're supposed to be representing us, but they're not. The problem is our system is so corrupt and so bent that we can't do anything about it because technically, if you really, really look in the somewhere in the lines of all the whole contract of the whole point of being, you're voted into a position. Therefore, you can also be voted out of a position. People don't realize that. Our problem is when we try to do that, we're shut down because we don't come in strength in numbers, and we need to start doing that. Now, wait, hold on. I'm trying to read what that black thing was saying. That sign they're holding. But anyway, I'm just trying to figure out what is on Instagram, I guess. Yeah, on Instagram. It's like, okay, here's my kind of contradictory thing to the matter of whoever they are holding the sign up for, whoever they're, you know, shaking hands up for, they're doing it in front of a Baptist church. Now, first off, number one, you're using a religion to empower whatever you're trying to empower when there's already a so-called, state, versus religion separation. So I'm not sure what they're, what exactly that's about. Hopefully, I'm making some sense out of all this. Did I lose you?
Huh?
Did I lose you there?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. One of the biggest problems a lot of these rally groups are having that I have a problem with is they're trying to change the core values of our society. Yet there are some values that do need to be, or not necessarily erased, but they need to be eradicated or they need to be disemboweled from our position of things. But in my opinion, these people are basically trying to rewrite American history and try to rewrite the American way. It's like they're promoting socialism, and that's something that this country does not want. I mean, it's a proven fact that every country that's ever inducted socialism into their system has failed.
Hmm.
And these people are kind of okay. National Unity Against Police Brutality. Oh, Jacob Dominguez. I just saw one of the posters. Give me research time. What's that the one in recently, the accidental death, or called alleged? It's being investigated.
What in what's it called? City?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is that the one that allegedly got shot by that cop?
the one that mistake the gun for the taser.
Yeah. You said that you watched that video over and over and over again. Is there a video posted somewhere of it? I officially have not seen it. I'd like to take that perspective of it.
Allow me to show you.
I'm sure I can find it on YouTube probably. Come on. I think this is a video. Hang on. Okay. Watching some video. Wait, is that 2000? That's
They determined he
2017.
had an outstanding warrant for a misdemeanor offense. Police began taking
What was the
him
one
into
that just
custody.
recently
There
happened?
was a struggle, and as Wright
I
tries
got
to
it
get
for
into
you.
his car, the officer can be heard
Okay.
yelling, "Taser, taser!"
Shoot me a link.
But the chief of police saying the officer fired her gun instead. The officer
Yeah.
heard saying she just shot him. Police never finding a weapon in Wright's car and calling the incident an accidental discharge.
This appears
Oh,
to
Dante
be
Wright.
from-
So, who is this Jacob Dominguez person that was back in 2017?
Mm-hmm. Actually, here on it or without a reporter.
Oh yeah, I think I might have seen that video. But okay, this is the other one. Okay. Okay, did they? What was the reason for the initial stop?
From what they said, it was something with his air fresheners.
What?
Something that was hanging from his center mirror.
Okay. What was it? Do we know?
I don't know.
Okay, so they pulled him out and they're trying to detain him and he's resisting. Okay. Mistake number one, resisting the cop regardless of guilt or innocence. Oh shit. Oh yeah. Whoa. Yeah, she was saying out taser because they're supposed to say that and she had her Glock in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the distress of the situation, she didn't realize that she pulled out the wrong weapon. Yeah, I saw that video. I didn't realize that was the one that was going on. Holy crap. And then he drove off.
He drove off, he crashed, and died from his injuries.
Yeah. But based on where she shot him, yeah, I'm trying to see exactly where she shot him. I'm trying to get a general idea. Taser, taser, taser. In the stomach, looks like. Okay, there's the shot. I froze it. I froze it for trying time. Yeah, it was a chest wound. No, wait, no, taser, bam, side.
She hit in the side of the stomach.
Yeah, that's still a fatal wound. Trying to see if maybe they're same. Okay, let me find. He had expired tags. Okay, so they noticed that he had expired tags. This basically means he had no registration. Okay, so, and then they had an outstanding warrant for his arrest. So basically, it became a felony stop at that point. And so they pulled him out of the car, and they were detaining him, and they were in the midst of handcuffing him, and he started to resist, and that's when things went south. So I'm going to give you my positions on both ends of this, if you will permit me.
Go ahead.
As one, my particular position and opinion, and also based on information and how I understand how procedures work for my father, if that's okay.
Go
If
ahead.
you're my more. All right. So, position one. Vehicle was pulled over. Expired tags. They approached them. They ran the plate of the vehicle during the initial stop, and the vehicle was flagged for an outstanding warrant for driver. So they went to go identify the person to make sure it was the right person, because as you know, just because it's a vehicle doesn't necessarily mean the person driving is registered, or it could be his mom's car or uncle's car. You know what I mean. So they obviously went up there and identified him as the person who it is, and so they knew he had a warrant. So that's why he asked him to step out of the vehicle. And when he was attempting to detain him, he probably informed him that he had a warrant for his arrest, and he began to resist and basically got back in the vehicle, which at that point, based on training for the police operation, they don't know if he's got a gun in that vehicle or any kind of weapon that could use to harm them or himself. Because in a situation like that, they're trained to say, okay, either he's going for a weapon to hurt them, or he could he could possibly take a weapon to inflict himself because he doesn't want to face the consequences. So what's to stop him from shooting himself or taking off in the vehicle as he did, even though he got shot and then unfortunately crashed and died from the bullet wound. So in that situation, you don't have time to think. You only have time to react and follow your procedure and training to the best of your ability. But unfortunately, when your adrenaline's going, it's hard to make those kind of decisions because you don't know what the outcome could be, because you don't know what kind of predicament you're getting yourself into or what was happening. Because when a situation like that gets out of hand, out of control, it's basically fight or flight. And unfortunately, that is a particular term that's in the manual. It's a fight or flight situation for both sides, for the officers and the alleged suspect. So I see this going two different ways. If this officer does the investigation and turns out to be it was so-called an accident and it is determined as an unfortunate shooting, and she's cleared of it, I see two possibilities happening. One, the riots will get worse. Two, we're going to have a complete society fail. Because you see, right now, everybody's so gun-ho and everybody's so on edge that they're going to use any means and excuse to cause mass chaos and anarchy. The same thing happened once the whole thing happened with, sorry, I go by so many different names I forget. George Floyd. Like I said, this whole thing is a domino effect from the George Floyd situation, because first we had the George Floyd situation where he was, killed by the police officer. And what I call and I'll say it clearly, a very unethical, brutally detainment and arrest. That situation was bad, and I wouldn't say I'm glad, but I'm kind of like, I agree that I'm glad that they found him guilty on one of those officers on that, and, a justification like that needed to be served, and that's fine. But now, see, people now are taking this whole thing today and they're turning it into a rally point, because now they say, okay, look, now we got one of these guys who's getting guilty. Now they think that the system's going to fall in place. Now they're going to say, now they're going to threaten the system and say, if you don't comply with what we want, we're gonna basically fuck up this country. So they're being ruled by mob mentality, and that is not what this country stands for. The country stands for democracy. Yeah, it does have a lot of broken flaws, and I think a lot of things do need to change. I agree with you. The problem is, the majority public of these people are doing it the wrong way. I know they want to hear my voice. I know they want to be heard, and that's perfectly fine. That's what the Constitution stands for. But you got to remember, you've got to work the system. You can't just insurrect it and expect things to fall into place and think that our government will surrender to anarchy. I mean, as long as they're peacefully protesting and being civil about it, hey, that's fine. They'll continue to do that, and that's fine. But the second it gets out of hand, like it started to do in those major cities, then that's when we have a problem. We start burning down buildings and hurting people, stuff like that, then it becomes domestic terrorism. So, I think, especially,
thrilled. I did not expect that.
Ironic that they decided to get the verdict today, knowing in general what 420 stands for in this day. I think that's kind of ironic, don't you?
Yeah. I thought they were going to deliberate longer, honestly.
I know, and it's like, I was surprised on that too. I was like, wow. But obviously, there was more than enough evidence, which obviously there was. I mean, clearly, let's think about it. But I don't know. I just know that with the awakening of all this, it's basically what I call waking up Pandora's box. Once you open that, it doesn't. Now, unfortunately, at this time, I'm just going to speak my mind on this. This country's already fucked either way. This world has already put itself into a position where it is. The problem is people they hang on to a broken system that can't protect them. This generation and society has lost its ways long ago, when their parents bailed on them and turned them away from truth and the light and the way. That's where all this began. It wasn't the Columbine shooting. It wasn't the the racial indifference, even though that has been a thing going on for quite some time. I strongly believe that it's always been an ongoing issue, and it's just unbelievable. But when you go look at the source of all this, you got to ask yourself, where's the structure of these kids? You know what I mean? Where's their core structure? What were they taught when they were younger and growing up? You know, people have lost faith in the truth, and they're taught that it's not real, it's fake, and they shouldn't cling to it. But the problem is, when you have nothing else to hope onto, what is there? You know, I mean, sometimes that's why I tend to talk to you about, things in that nature, because when you just break it all down and look, what is missing from all of this? You go back 20 years, 22 years, let's say 20, you go back 25 years, all right? Take a look at society 25 years ago. What was the most common thing going on in life? It was the birth of the internet, the digital age was being born, things were starting to pivot. But what did people stop doing? What?
No, I get you. Also,
People?
thank you, Shawario21 for following.
People stop turning to God. You know? People started saying that they were in control, and they decided their fate and their destiny in their life, and walked away from all that when things started to get bad. People started empowering themselves, almost idolizing themselves as being gods. And that in nature is a sin of itself. I strongly think that in the awakening of all this and everything that I have witnessed to and everything that I have testified to myself and around the last 3 years is living proof that there is still hope and people can change for the better. The problem is when they cling to the world ideas and views and things of that matter, and not to what the true truth is, it blinds them, and then begins arrogance in this matter. Because I guarantee you, if you were to ask every single person in these videos, every single person you see in these videos, and you ask them what religion they follow or what belief they follow, they'd say nothing. The emptiness of that is what they're trying to find whole. They're trying to fill a hole in something that they can never have. They took away what they thought was what, and they said no, because the world started telling them, this voice started telling them, it's not real, you can't prove it, because they listened to people who were in doubt, and they turned away. I mean, it happens every day. I've had my share of some ups and downs, But in the end, the sad truth is, and this is going to sound a little crazy, but the battle has already been won. The fate has already been decided. A destiny has already been written. What these people do is of their own free will and their own free choice, correct. But there's consequences to choices, whether they see it as right or wrong. All this here is temporary. This is just a step to what we're going to next. None of this stuff's going to matter in 10, 20 years or whenever the return happens. You know, it's just, I know it sounds like I'm getting a little preachy here, but I can't stop denying the truth. I can't just shelter myself every time I'm not comfortable with having a conversation with someone about truth. It doesn't mean they have to agree, doesn't mean they have to accept, but you'll notice every time there's a conversation about the truth, people get defensive, those who don't believe. It's like, okay, what thing happened in your life that caused you to turn away? I mean, if you look at every story, every person who has come to acceptance of truth and the light of ways, there's always a story about how they fell. People are going to fall. People, and through weakness, strength is developed, and that's what God does. He uses weakness to build strength. And I believe and hope and pray for all these people who don't understand that someday they will. You know, what I don't do is I do like, you know, most considered religions in this world, and they say, well, there's this and this and this, and it's like, no. It's just, I don't know, because now you got rally groups like, you know, BLM, Antifa, or you got, you know, the LGBTQ community, or you got the other communities all trying to say, you know, we need to hear a voice. We want a voice in this world. We want to stand up for what's right and not wrong, and that's perfectly fine. No one says that you can't have a voice. Everyone deserves a voice. But you need to ask yourself, what voice in your heart, in your head, are you listening to bring these voices? Because if you follow the truth voice in your heart, because your heart will never lie to you. And that's a proven fact. If you listen to your heart and not your head and not the world, your heart will overcome anything that you can ever think that you can't accomplish. Anytime you ever tell yourself, I can't, I won't be able to, you know what? That's your mind and the world, and, you know, that's telling you you can't. If your heart, if you believe in something and you're passionate about something enough, then, you know, it'll happen. Because you got to tell yourself, say I won't. But when you do that, you got to make sure you're following the right choice. Because deception is the biggest thing in this world that the devil will play tricks on you. Give me a second. I gotta step out for just a minute. I'll just talk to your audience for a minute.
Sorry. All right, folks, we are live right now. We're gonna get to some games in just a minute. But as a fair broadcast, we allow all opinions here. Just because my opinion doesn't agree with his doesn't mean I don't want him to say it. Everyone deserves their own opinion, and that right there is what makes this country a pretty good country to live in.
Totally agree with that. It's amazing how you and I can see different views and points of things. But we're still together. We're still friends. We're still, I guess you consider colleagues in a way.
You're that guy. That one dude who
I'm
does
just
the
that
thing.
guy. I'm that guy. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I know. It's okay. I love you, Jay.